Welcome everyone to another episode of Reese's Roundup. I am your host, the Lightning Kid himself, and today, gentlemen, ladies, children, grandmothers, grandpappies, uncles, aunts, whoever's watching, we will be talking about the NFL's free agency period so far. Now, there's been some pretty big head scratchers this week, last week I should say, in free agency. There's been a lot of teams that have let a lot of people go that I never expected them to have let go. Specifically, the Arizona Cardinals. We out here rapping. I didn't expect for my team in particular to have made the moves that they did. They didn't make any moves. Let me just point that out first. They didn't make any moves. They signed one guy so far, who is Tyvon Branch. This guy is almost 30 years old. He came from the Raiders and the Chiefs, and now he's gonna play safety for the Arizona Cardinals. Now I don't know anything about this guy, so I looked up his highlights, and he looks like another version of Tyrann Mathieu, just like bigger and much slower. So if that's the case, then that means Rashad Johnson and Tony Jefferson are looking to go to different teams, and I'm not okay with that because I'm a big Rashad Johnson fan. I like him a lot. He came from my favorite college football team, the Crimson Tide, and I don't want to see him go. Tony Jefferson, he's a solid player. He can do good things for the Cardinals, but he's not starter material yet, and I guess I can see why he would leave. But Rashad, I don't understand. Which is why we went out and signed Tyvon, I guess. But we haven't re-signed anybody. We haven't signed anybody. Big names. I think we should get Prince Amukamara from the Giants. He's a solid corner. He is much better than Gerard Powers. I'll just throw that out there. I've never seen a guy in Gerard Powers get beat on every play. Is slower than me. If the Cardinals were to get Prince Amukamara, I think we would be pretty solid. You know, we've come off of injuries. We're coming off of injuries. There's that one side of the field that needs to be covered well because people aren't going to throw it to Patrick Peterson. So I think we'd make a good bid if we had at least average cornerback, because Gerard Powers is not average. He's horrible. So with the Cardinals covered, let's get into the rest of the free agency. So we got the biggest talk of all free agency so far is Mark Sanchez going to the Denver Broncos. Mark Sanchez, I never expected this guy to be in an NFL uniform ever again since he left the Jets. And he's had the opportunity to go to the Eagles, not start, but play a couple of games when Sam Bradford went out and just absolutely suck. The guy did awful, guys. Mark Sanchez is not a good quarterback. He did all right his first 2 seasons when he was with the Jets. Took him to the AFC Championship, but ever since that, you know, he disappeared, like completely disappeared. Butt fumbles, the interceptions to touchdowns ratio, it's not good. The guy is horrendous. And to think that Tim Tebow isn't in the NFL anymore, but he is, that's kind of a head scratcher. And now the Broncos of all people want this guy, and he's going to be their starter if they don't get like somebody else, which is another huge head scratcher, because out of all people, Mark Sanchez? Really, Denver? I know they got rid of Brock Osweiler, more on him soon, but they had Robert Griffin III, and I know he's injury prone, so you didn't want to take a big chance on him, and Colin Kaepernick, who, let's not throw him under the bus too quickly, because the guy's good. Being a Cardinals fan, I've seen him play twice a season for like the last 3-4 years. And the guy has potential. But last season he sucked so bad because he didn't have anybody on his team. Like, there was nobody. Anquan Bolden is about 45 years old. Stevie Johnson, like, he's a nobody. He didn't have that team. Frank Gore even left, and he was their offense. Let me put it that way. Like, the guy could get yards if they needed it. So with Colin Kaepernick not having the talent around him that he did before, you know, that's why he got benched for Blaine Gabbert. Like, it's sad, but you know, you can't really blame it on him. So if he goes to the Broncos, he'll have Emmanuel Sanders, he'll have Demaryius Thomas, he'll have a great defense, he'll have a good running game. So I just see I can see him fitting more with the Broncos than going to the Browns and doing absolutely horrendous there. Another big move is Matt Forte going to the Jets. Now, Matt Forte is a great. He's an above average running back. Now, Matt Forte, the Jets are known for their run game. So with Matt Forte, who's a much better running back than Chris Ivory was, the Jets will have less pressure on their throwing game now that Matt Forte can average at least 100 to 120 yards per game. So it was a good move by the Jets to get him. I don't see the Jets needing anybody else, really. They have a pretty solid offense now that they have Forte. Their defensive line is great. They got okay linebackers. Their secondary is fine. So all they need to work on really is putting up the points to win the games, because it's not really on their defense anymore now that it's on their offense, being that they weren't able to put up those numbers to win all those games. Another move was the Lamar Miller trade going to the Texans. Now, I never really expected Lamar Miller to leave Miami, but you know, everything happens for a reason. So him going to the Texans just means that Arian Foster is no longer going to get the recognition anymore from the Texans. So I think it's less of a head scratcher, but more of a why. Like, they don't need a running back more than they need some people on their defense. Like, they need more, I don't want to say corners, but a better secondary, which is, you know, where the corners are. But I mean, they need a better like, they need safeties, they need I don't want to say linebackers, but they need, like, because J.J. Watt, what does J.J. Watt play? Defensive end or linebacker? Outside line? Well, he plays something, but they need, like, a more core group at that defensive front. Jadeveon Clowney gets injured too much, so he's not going to be out there every time. So I think they needed to work more on their defense. But you know, it is the first week, so them picking up. Who did they pick? Lamar Miller. Sorry, Lamar Miller. I guess that kind of makes up for it, because Arian Foster left, and he was their leading rusher in Texans history, as far as I know. So I guess it was a good move, because Lamar Miller is a good running back. So somebody, Chris Ivory, he went to the Jaguars. Now, I don't understand why Chris Ivory even left the Jets to go to the Jags. Money, I guess. But Chris Ivory is a solid running back going to a sorry team. I don't see him. They even said he's not going to start. So he's making all that money to play backup to T.J. Yeldon. I guess they're gonna do like the 1-2 punch where he'll come in on like third downs and Yeldon will play like the first 2 downs. So that's the only thing I can see Ivory getting playing time in, but starting, I don't see it. Not with T.J. Yeldon. I would pick Ivory over Yeldon, but because Yeldon is better on the Jags and they don't know how Ivory will do, I think that it's a better decision to make Yeldon be a starter at running back. Sean Smith went to the Raiders. Sean Smith is an okay corner. I wouldn't say he's above average. I wouldn't say he's average. He's alright. So I saw him playing a couple of seasons with the Dolphins. He did alright with the Dolphins, but after he left, he wasn't really that big guy anymore. He did alright with the Chiefs, but I wouldn't think this guy's like a top 10 cornerback in the league. Brock Osweiler went to the Texans. Now, the guy made a lot of money going to the Texans. I don't know why. The guy only played seven games ever in his career. He's like, what, 27? And the guy's only played 7 games. And they signed him to 70-something million, 18 guaranteed, some crazy numbers. And the Texans wanted that guy. That makes 0 sense whatsoever. Now, if I'm Brock Osweiler, I'm going to go get that deal. I don't blame him for that. But the people I'm blaming are the Texans for offering him that much money to play, to start this guy who we don't know how he'll play yet. The guy's, I don't know his stats from the 7 games he's played, but I know that it's not good enough to make that much money. So I don't know what the Texans were thinking on that one, but that's the biggest head scratcher next to Mark Sanchez. The Dolphins made some pretty good moves too. They got some more defensive players. They got Mario Williams, Kiko Alonso, and Byron Maxwell. Now, again, being a Cardinals fan, I know that Byron Maxwell is he's a below average cornerback. Now I say that because he's big for no reason. Like he's built like a linebacker. The guy can't cover. So he only did well on the Seahawks because he had Earl Thomas backing him up. But now that he's not going to have Earl Thomas, but like Rashad Jones backing him up, he's not going to he's going to get beat on every play. So I would pick that guy apart if I was the opposing team's offense. Kiko Alonso gets hurt too many times though, so I don't know why they went out and got him, but he'll make a good linebacker if he's healthy. He's definitely a top 10 linebacker if he's healthy, guaranteed. And lastly, Janoris Jenkins to the Giants. Now the Giants gave this guy a lot of money for good reason, but he's not worth what was it, 62 million? He's not worth that much money, but he is a solid corner. Now people will say that, oh, he got beat by Dez Bryant, you know. They'll throw that play out there, but one of the plays that he played Dez Bryant, he got a pick 6 on him. You know, once again, being a Cardinals fan, I know Janoris Jenkins. I know that the guy is a solid cornerback, which is why I was curious as to why the Cardinals didn't get him. But I think that Janoris Jenkins will do a great job with the Giants. I know how he plays. I know his thinking. He's smart. He's a fast cornerback, but he needs to. His one downfall is that he doesn't play aggressive enough. He's more like a zone corner when he needs to play man. So I feel like if the Giants use him properly, he'll be top 10 cornerback material. So with that being said, that's gonna do it for today's Reese's Roundup. You know, who did you guys think that your team was gonna get? Who do you guys want that's in free agency that your team wants to sign, or that you think your team should sign? I definitely, for me, it should have been Janoris Jenkins, Prince Amukamara, somebody at cornerback position, because that's who we lack. I don't want Gerard Powers starting another game in his life. He's better at nickel, but that's the starter. No, please, come on, coach. But yeah, that's definitely gonna wrap it up. You know, let me know what you guys want to see next week. I guess that's gonna do it. See you guys next time. Peace.